everyone on council could have their seat, please. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight for public comment. I'm going to remind everybody about the rules of decorum. Also, I want to ask people to be respectful. No hand clapping, snapping, jeering, whatnot, when speakers are done. Let's get through this and let's show each other respect. So thank you. Okay, when your number's called, please head to the podium. And I'm going to ask the first 5 speakers to make their way up. So if you could do that. And of course, we start off with Miss Rainey. And it's 2 minutes per person.
2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to get this done in 2 minutes. Good afternoon. I would like you to know that I know that you did your tour of Newan Avenue today. I would like to say I live in the black section of Newan Avenue, and when Mitch Silver was the planning director, we planned 2 cultural districts, one for Newan Avenue and one for South Park. I wanted to remind you that I am expecting you to keep your word about the cultural district. I'm secondly reminding you that from the inspection to Zach's, I would like for the city to revisit that. I am going to bring in a plan for that to be historical markers of the people who lived in the neighborhood that have died. I know that they have omitted the historical sites on Newan Avenue, and I don't know whether that was intentional or on purpose, but I do know that the Taster Freeze is very historical. You can tear down Zach's, you can go down and tear it down, you can tear down the inspection station, but the Taster Freeze stays. And I want to bring to the city where around that we create cultural monuments for the people who lived in College Park and Idlewild. They deserve it. They are dead and gone now, but that needs to be that. I also asked Barney Gaylord to come to speak, because he made the suggestion to make it housing. And I said, you need to take that back now. On Boyer Street, on the side, that was supposed to be an SRO, single room occupancy, made for people who lived in the neighborhood, and they did relocation and they had to move them out. You know, the city has to do better about honoring people, about sticking to their word. And I want you to stick to your word. I don't want no housing on Newan Avenue. We had daycares and all of that before.
Thank you. And so if that's how the crowd is going to behave, we will end the meeting. We're not going to put up with that tonight. We're here to have respectful conversations, no clapping, none of this in between. Thank you. Rick?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, you can breathe. Thank you.
I would like those who support police to please stand. Good evening. My name is Rick Armstrong, and I am Vice President of Teamsters Local 391. We represent approximately 450 Raleigh police officers and are part of the Raleigh Police Protective Association. I think we can all agree that public safety should be a priority in the upcoming budget. For the citizens of Raleigh to be safe, they need a fully staffed police department. Currently, RPD has close to 100 operational vacancies, or about 15% of the department. One of the main reasons for so many vacancies is retention. Raleigh police officers continue to leave for other neighboring police departments with better pay. RPD is one of the lowest paid police departments in the area. The raise we are asking for would cost the city less than 0.5% of the annual $1.2 billion budget. We have hundreds of officers who have signed a petition requesting a raise that would make RPD competitive with other departments in the area and around the state. Recently, the city manager just received a 10% raise under the premise, and I quote, to ensure equity and alignment with her peers' salaries and also based on achieving her annual goals. To be clear, we support her raise and believe this quote is an excellent method to determine pay raises. We are just asking the city to apply it to our police officers. We know the men and women of RPD have met their goals. Now they just want alignment with their peers' salaries. A 15% across-the-board raise for all officers would put their salaries in alignment with their peers. A recent study shows it takes an individual over $100,000 to live comfortably in the city of Raleigh. The starting pay for a Raleigh police officer is just over $50,000. These men and women risk their lives every day. They deserve better. Please support a budget that will support police officers. Thank you.
Thank you. I see our police chief here. Chief, did you want to say anything regarding the budget process so far?
Stella Patterson, Chief of Police for the Raleigh Police Department. I would say that when we look across the board at our salary rates, we want to make sure that it's competitive, and so that we are able to, just as stated, be able to hire officers and retain officers. I think the biggest thing we have seen in our city is that it is growing at a tremendous pace. We're having a difficult time keeping up with that pace, having enough officers to fill our vacancies, and to make sure that we are making Raleigh the safest city. So I would ask of the council respectfully that you will consider the fact that our salary rates right now are towards the bottom, and we'd like to equalize it to make it higher so that we can be competitive across the board. It's a challenge every day to come to work and not knowing that, that you're not meeting the needs of the city because we don't have enough staffing. It is critical that we have enough officers to fill the needs that we have across the city. And so we're just asking for a competitive rate that is going to make us competitive with our other police agencies, and so that we can stop losing officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, speaker 3. Is William Hill here? I'm Whitney Hill. Oh, hi, Whitney. Yeah, it's on here on William, so why don't you come up?
No, I think that's a different person.
Madam Mayor.
You're William Hill, right? This is William Hill.
There's William. There's a Whitney.
Let me see where you are. William?
Good evening. My name is William Hill. I'm the founder of Boys to Men of Wake County. It's a mentoring service for young people. I started out of Holly Springs High School as just a club. It has now created a nonprofit. I have reached over about 1,500 young men and women in Holly Springs area, and I'm just looking to bring it to the Raleigh area to help the young people here in the Wake County, in the Raleigh area. Only thing I'm just looking for is resources and places where I can meet the kids and have events and sponsor events, and just need some resources to help that. The city of Holly Springs also, they give us a grant area to help service the Holly Springs area. So I'm coming here to the Raleigh City Council to see if they can help with the Raleigh area and the youth here in the area. I have a team of people that are willing to come and help mentor and provide services. I sent you guys a couple emails, so I don't know if you got them. I met with some people as well, so I'm just here to hear back from you guys and render my service to the community.
Yeah, this is a very timely request. The National League of Cities was here today. We did a youth forum with a number of nonprofits and whatnot.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to ask City Manager if we could follow up with you
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding this.
So I'm currently a teacher right now, but I just accepted a position with the North Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice. So I'm committed to the youth.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4 and 5, please. Is Dana here? Mesa?
Mesa Solteri. It's actually sad to see that all the police department has to come here to ask to raise their pay while we're sending all our funds overseas to kill civilians and innocent people. Turning chips around to stand against the genocide and stop the bloodshed being called terrorists, but killing over 35,000, majority are women and children. You could call them allies because they look like you, maybe. If you look around, a lot of the speakers are here to speak about the ceasefire. Do you know why? Because ceasefire for Palestine represent the free people in this world. And the more we are pushed down, the more we'll grow and more gonna be stronger, like our olive tree. A genocide and ethnic cleansing does not translate in any language in this world to a self-defense. Stealing a land and homes and displacing and massacring the indigenous for Palestine over 75 years is a crime, and supporting them means you are complicit with them. Do we have to keep reminding you how Israel is a danger in this world? 6 months of genocide and the killing every single day, targeting civilians, hospitals, mosques, church, and the list goes on and on. I want you to look in my eyes and tell me, if your family were there, would you still stand up by them and make their flag as your profile picture? Would you still do that? Palestine has revealed who's amongst us wants justice and equality and who wants privilege, and only that. Free Palestine.
If we could have the next 5 names.
Y'all, I just wanted to mention, sometimes we get feedback from the viewers at home that when you hold down the mic, it interferes with the sound qualities. Just want to mention that.
Try to get this right then.
You could give your name.
My name is Rose. I've been coming here since January, as soon as I learned I could speak here. In the meeting since, myself and my colleagues have found ourselves silenced from doing little more than finger snaps, have had non-white sounding names been consistently mispronounced. We've been lied to, harassed, and religiously and racially discriminated against by the security and police in this building. And we've had to sit in silence while the people who support our loved ones' genocides speak lies in front of this council, all in the name of hearing out both sides on the subject of genocide. I had an original speech I was gonna write the rest of this, but I'm gonna say it. Look out into this room. Every single person here thinks that the money that Raleigh has should be going to something that they care about. I don't agree with everybody in this room. There's a lot of people I don't agree with in this room, but they all think that the money that we have should be going into our community. For whatever reason, we are still sending money to Israel for their health care that they get for free while we have to pay for it here. Some of us can't even afford it. And we pay for genocide and apartheid. We are not asking for a ceasefire because we want to twist your arm or we're evil or we're terrorists. It's because we want money to go back into our communities here in Raleigh, no matter what that looked like, okay? There is so much money, literally millions to billions of dollars. A ceasefire says that you care about Raleigh. It's not about international policy. It means that you want to have more money for whatever the people in this room want. So if you want to start caring about us, start doing it now. Sign a ceasefire, damn it.
Who's next? Fatima? Okay. Number 8, Speaker 8. Speaker 9.
Good evening. My name is Hala, and I'm a proud resident of Wake County for the last 26 years. I'm not Palestinian, but I am a mother of 5 children and a grandmother of 3. I'm here today because I wanted to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Tonight, I should have been home. This is the last night of Ramadan. I should be preparing for Eid tomorrow for my son, who was called a terrorist by his own friend because he wore a traditional scarf to school. I'm here to talk to all of the parents here. I know all of you have children. If you don't have children, you have grandchildren. If you don't have grandchildren, you have nieces and nephews. There has been, I wrote my paper a couple days ago, and I keep repeating, going over it and correcting the numbers of dead children in Palestine. I want to show you this. I want it to get printed in your head. This is a fresh massacre from tonight. These kids were supposed to be celebrating Eid tomorrow. Imagine your kids being slaughtered on the night of Christmas. Okay? Jesus, for my brother here who is a Christian who was complaining about, speaking about Israel, Jesus was a Palestinian. These are the Jesuses of the world that are being slaughtered every day with our own money. How could we stand for this? There's so many projects over here, amazing projects that we need to fund with our money instead of our tax money. I feel guilty sending my tax check if I didn't know I'm gonna end up homeless on the street. Alongside that homeless encampment that just started by Garner city limit, right under the sign that says an all-American city. It's a drive by there. If you go down 401, you see it where it splits between 70 and 401. That homeless encampment keeps growing. Those people are on the street in a very dangerous intersection. They're trying to beg for money to live. And we...
Thank you. Speaker 10.
Thank you.
Sharnali. Wake up, it's a long night, darling. Wake up, it's the brightest sky. No love, it's a dark night, darling. Hold on to me for dear life. Wake up, where do we go to? Wake up, fire, fire in your eye. Oh, love, we will try to come and save you. It's all just a matter of time. Wake up, won't you listen to the people? Wake up from the mountain of the lies. No love, you've been a pawn through every sequel. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake. Wake up, call your brother, call your mother. Wake up, under aid from the sky. Oh, love, we're digging deeper in the rubble. Hold on to my voice outside. Wake up, we just lost another family. Wake up, 'cause we need the world to see. Oh, them. Too bad we're just bodies on the screen. Wake up, they don't care about the people. Wake up, they don't care about you too. Oh, love, if you're walking with the people. Oh, love, they are coming for you. Wake up, little boy, they don't want you. Wake up, you might threaten their plan. Run, run before they come and find you. Grow up till you're taught to fight back. City Council, we will remember your stance. I also stand with the Raleigh City workers here. They need their wages raised. They need a living wage. And if you can't find the money, maybe we can take some of that money from the $131 million from Raleigh PD. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Do you want to address the money issue with Israel? Okay. All right.
I'm Nadia Ali, in case you forgot. I am Dina Ali, Battalion Chief of the Fire Department, sister. We've been here when the fire department was here, asking for raises. And now we're here when the police department is here asking for raises. If our first responders can't get paid to save our lives, what are we supposed to do? When we witness the proceedings of our city council and witness the visible anger among us, it's natural to question what's amiss. Because let's be clear, one cannot expect individuals facing the horrors of genocide to remain calm and composed. This so-called normal response is anger. Yet, why does the majority persist in treating us as if we're naive or incapable of rational thought? Let's not sugarcoat it. If they fail to hear us, it's not due to misunderstanding. The excuse of misunderstanding might have held weight back in October, but now the stark reality is that even the most simplistic news channels present the grim statistics of our fallen heroes day in and day out. They choose not to hear us. It's not a matter of miscommunication, it's a deliberate choice. No matter how eloquently we address the city council or the citizens within their homes, we cannot force someone to acknowledge the truth if they are feigning ignorance. Let's call it what it is. It's reprehensible. They are not merely indifferent, they are actively opposed to acknowledging our plight. It's not even a matter of placating us with false promises. They are so entrenched in their support of genocide that they refuse to even entertain the notion of listening to us, regardless of how long we persist. This is not just a failure to act, it's a moral bankruptcy of the highest order. We cannot allow them to dismiss our voices any longer. We must demand accountability, justice, and end to this genocide. Our president has called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, telling Netanyahu that future U.S. support for Israel will depend on it taking concrete action.
Thank you. Could we have speakers 12, 13, 14, and 15 line up, please? And could you give your name when you come up to speak?
Clarissa Rodriguez. City Council members, my speech this evening stands as my first public interaction with you all. To say I wish I were here under better circumstances is an understatement. To convey what I mean, first let us take a breath collectively and consciously. Now imagine, in that breath you just took, you inhaled the dust of your obliterated loved ones. Imagine, in that breath, the hazardous chemicals from 2,000-pound bombs now is permeating your blood, traversing your vessels from your brain to your feet. Imagine being so scared to drink water or eat food, despite starving of hunger and thirst because of fear of waterborne illnesses or contaminated food sources. These machinations of our mind here are the horrifying realities our Palestinian brothers, sisters, parents, children, and elders are facing with each day of inaction by Western and global North powers. My comrades here have been petitioning you all for the past 6 months to adopt a resolution calling for an end to the genocide in Palestine and a divestment of aid from the Israeli apartheid terrorist colonial settler state. Is logic enough here to convince you to do the bare minimum? Shouldn't the capacity of human compassion be enough to compel you to do everything in your power to stop an injustice when you see one? I do not demand respect. I demand action. I demand courage. Stand up against US imperialism and Zionist terrorism. Truly believe in doing the right thing, not what will profit you the most in the short term. Free Palestine, free the Democratic Republic of Congo, free Sudan, free Hawaii, free Puerto Rico, and we are not free until we are all free. All power to the people. Thank you.
Okay, 13.
Catherine, I'm a Raleigh resident and NC State alum, and much to the disbelief of the men that just left, I'm also a lifelong Christian. I'm here because Raleigh city workers are demanding a livable wage across the board. I mean, I'm here with Raleigh city workers demanding the safe living conditions, safe working conditions, and $38 an hour. And the reason we have the money is just going to bomb kids across seas, and it's going to 800 to 1,000 military installations across seas. Why, first of all, why do we even allow that when we would never allow that in our own country? Like, the hypocrisy is insane. But everyone here in this room, I'm gonna echo what Rose said, agrees that the money here should be staying here in our communities. It should not be going to kill kids. 15,000 children, more than, have died in the last 6 months alone. Can you fathom that? Like, the Gaza Strip is 10 square miles smaller than Raleigh. It has been hit with the equivalent of 3 nuclear bombs, at least, probably more since that statistic came out. And Marianne Baldwin, if I can keep from throwing the shoe at you, you can keep from off your phone while listening to your constituents talk. Please. Your people are trying to get you to hear them. We know you won't listen because we know you're just gonna line your own pockets. But everyone here in this room is demanding something of you, and that is to put back into us, to the community. There are people are on the streets starving. That's, in a world where food is as readily available and wasted as it is, it's insane that that's even a thing here. Like, can we please just
Your time
be
is up,
human?
please. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I've been asked to address the question about sending money to Israel. The city of Raleigh does not conduct business with Israel, nor do we send tax dollars to Israel to conduct any type of business. Just wanted to clarify that and clean that up. It's been raised several months. It is a misstatement, it is inaccurate. We do not conduct business with Israel, nor do we send city of Raleigh tax dollars to Israel. Nor do we send officers to train in Israel either. So that is not accurate statements being made.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
We're not the federal government, so we can't address how federal dollars are spent.
I'm going to have to ask our officers to remove you if you continue. Thank you. Number 14, speaker. 15. 16.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdullah. I praise God, the creator of all humans, who honored all humans. I thank him that he put us in the side of the oppressed, and I pray and ask God to raise the position of the prophet who was sent as mercy to all of the creation, who said the destruction of the whole world is less important in the sight of God than shedding the blood of an innocent soul. I pray to God to bless all those council members who stood by the oppressed ones, and I pray that God open the hearts of the other ones who are still hesitant. Today is the last day of Ramadan, our holy month, but the terrorist government of Israel did not have any respect for our holy month, for our holy site, for our holy Aqsa. They're still bombing mosques, hospitals, churches, aid workers. Just some news, a doctor at a field hospital and this is from CNN, not from Hamas, a doctor at field hospital for detained Palestinians and a secret Israeli prison, he described deplorable conditions and routine amputations due to handcuff injuries. That is the occupation that many of you are supporting. Hundreds of captives and hostages in the Israeli prisons are facing slow death because of negligence and no medical care due to the policies of the terrorist minister Ben Gvir. Just in this past week, Walid Daqa, a cancer captive in the prisons of the Israelis, he passed away, and the Zionists rejected to give his body to his family, and they also attacked the tent of condolence. They attacked the tent. I don't know, guys, you don't see what we see, but better to send money to the UE Local 150, to the Raleigh police people, to the Raleigh workers, to the homeless people in Raleigh, better than sending to the occupation.
Thank you. Number 17, 18, 19, 20, if you could come up. Speaker 17. Speaker 18.
Can we use the chair so that she sits on the chair? She can be seen. Is it okay?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Sana Khadra. I have been in Raleigh for about 10 years. Out of the 2.1... Yes.
Excuse me, could you
give you a portable mic? You don't need to stand in the chair, honey. Get down.
Okay. That's dangerous.
But moms are not dangerous for children. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Sana Khadra. I have been in Raleigh for about 10 years. Out of the 2.1 million people who are living in Gaza, the world's largest open-air prison, as former President Jimmy Carter put it, 35,000 have been killed, 70% of whom are women and children. Some of them are infants, some of them are newborns. Some of them are newborns, but most of them are between the ages 5 and 13.
Can you please pause her time? She has been Just start a timer. She has the right to be seen also.
And we can see her now. Thank you.
Start a timer.
Yep.
Doing great.
Continue.
A good many of them have witnessed or experienced things that are too hard for many average grown-ups to bear. It took only 175 days for Israel to kill about 13,000 children. That's about triple the amount of children that have been killed in Ukraine in 2 years. 6-year-old Hind Rajab was so-called evacuating to southern Gaza with her uncle's family when Israel killed them one by one. While she was still on the phone, Hind was telling the lady in the emergency to come and get her because she was afraid of the dark, just like any other 6-year-old. The children of Gaza are humans too. Israel is also using starvation to kill children. Starvation is a very clear war crime that should not be tolerated. About 30 children in Gaza have already died due to starvation. 17,000 children in Gaza have lost one or both parents. Half of them have lost all of their family members. Imagine having one hand, or one leg, or 3 fingers. About 3 years ago, me and my sister spent one whole night with our hands tied behind our backs to see how other people feel. It was very hard. We never did it again. 1,000 children in Gaza have become amputees. Of course, all these numbers are rising. Even though what we are asking you to do is only symbolic, we will not stop asking for it until you answer to our voices. So we hope you do so. It's better for Raleigh to support its workers than to send millions of dollars to Israel, who is only good at killing women and children. Give it to Raleigh workers, the homeless who are out there on the streets, and all those in need. Raleigh, Raleigh, choose a side, ceasefire or genocide.
Okay, Speaker 19. Speaker 19 here. Speaker 20.
Are you going to start the time?
Time is set.
Okay. My name is Tama, and I want to start off by thanking the Fantastic Four, Christina Jones, Mary Black, Megan Patton, and Jane Harrison for voting for a ceasefire. To those disgraceful four who voted against it, your betrayal won't be forgotten. I cannot overlook those who have turned their backs on legal responsibility. I don't even understand, why do you even occupy those seats if you're unwilling to uphold justice? Corey Branch, why did you vote against the ceasefire? Did Baldwin bully you? Were you paid to the people in this room see your betrayal? 4, launching a re-election campaign while ignoring the bloodsheds of Palestinians is unacceptable. Your hands are stained with the bloods of innocent and the people of Raleigh will not forget. Melton, who isn't here, I'm not surprised, you recently shook hands with Jill Biden. This is icky behavior. Despite our grief, we won't give up. I won't give up. I already lost 350 of my family members in Gaza. For 6 months, we've endured genocide. We've talked with our mouths dry, but our words never dried. We protested Moore Square. We will not be silenced until our ceasefire demands are met. The world only took notice when 4 British lives were lost from the word KitchenAid. But when Israel claims it's an accident mission, this is when the world wants to open its eyes. Palestinian lives have been lost for 186 days, and we've been crying out for justice long before the world even listened. Our oppression has taken on for deaf ears far too long. Let it be known that we will continue to show up in these meetings to call out the disgraceful four for your collaboration in genocide. Shame on you. If my 2 minutes doesn't mean anything, go ahead and explain your reasoning to God, because you will be punished for your wrongdoings. Ceasefire now.
Okay, if we could have Speaker 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 start coming up. So Speaker 21. Okay, 22. 23. 24.
To the members of color on our council that voted against a ceasefire.
Could you start with your name, please?
Dania, number 24. Can you reset my time?
Just doing that. Okay.
To the members of color on our council that voted against a ceasefire, it's a real shame that you can't understand how our struggles are tied. I'm shocked to think that I would have to remind you how African Americans got to this country. You're blatantly ignoring the people of color coming here every month to tell you the heinous crimes Israel commits on people of color. This lets me know you must not be aware of how Israelis view people of color, specifically Black people. So let me give you a bit of insight. In the late 70s, Ethiopian Jews fled to Israel to escape persecution. When those Ethiopians arrived, they were renamed and given Hebrew names that did not exist in Ethiopian society. Sounds familiar, right? Between 2003 and 2013, the Ethiopians faced a 50% decline in birth rates. Why is that, you may wonder? Because Ethiopian women were being injected with contraceptive without their knowledge. They sterilized the Black women because they don't want Black Israelis. Then, in 2018, the Israeli government deported over 20,000 of those African refugees. Just after one of their chief rabbis stated, Africans and Arabs could only live in Israel if they agreed to serve the country's Jewish population. Does any of this sound familiar? In January of 2014, an Israeli man walked up to an African refugee carrying her 1-year-old baby in Tel Aviv and stabbed the baby in the head 3 times. When the police asked him why he did it, he said, "They said that a Black baby, Black people in general, are terrorists." He was not sentenced to jail. He was deemed to be mentally unstable. Is any of this ringing a bell? Stop letting history repeat itself. These people do not stand for you. In fact, they teach their society to literally reject people like you and me alike. So why would you ever stand for them, let alone in support of their genocidal acts? Ceasefire now.
Okay, speakers 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. If you could start making your way up. Speaker 25. Is speaker 25 here? Okay, 26. Okay.
Tim Kelly. So I am here today to talk about raising the pay for the Raleigh Police Department and their officers. And I want to come at it from an approach of what I call DEI, diversity, exclusion, equity, and inclusion, because that's kind of the pillars and the platform that the council has focused on. And you've done a great job with the diversity when you look out in that room. We have an amazing chief of police. We have an amazing police force that's very diverse, correct? Yes, no? Would you say? All right. But the equity piece is missing because they're not paid what their counterparts are being paid across the rest of the area, rest of the state, rest of the county, rest of the town. They go to Rocky Mount, they make 60 grand. They go to Cary, they make 50, 60 grand. I concluded my police career in 2000 and I made 70,000 a year. They're making 60, maybe? Lower, yeah, lower. So there's no excuse for that. They go out and they put a gun on, they put a badge on every day. What does everybody else do that gets $300,000 salaries? They don't put on a gun, they don't put on a badge. They don't go out and defend people. They don't do that. But these folks do every day. They need to be respected for that, and the respect for that means they get paid for it. And I'll leave you with a quote from probably one of the best speakers ever to stand behind the presidential podium, and that was Barack Obama. And he said, quote, "As you continue to defend us with quiet dignity, we must proclaim loudly our appreciation." And we can give them hugs and we can give them accolades, but I'd rather just give them an equitable salary. Give them what they deserve. Because I know for sure, I wouldn't want to be working 12-hour shifts overnight anymore. Rotating shifts for the amount of pay that they're making. Again, they put on a badge and a gun and a vest. Please pay them what they deserve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, speaker 27.
Hello, my name is Ratil, and Eid Mubarak to all Muslims. Today, as we gather here, Muslims around the world are celebrating Eid. Yet, amidst these celebrations, some are suffering. People in Gaza whose blood and suffering you seem to ignore are still under fire. And here we stand having spoken at this city council for half a year, pleading for action, pleading for change. But still, our voices seem to fall on the deaf ears. I ask you all, is this truly democracy? Is this the representation we deserve? For months, we have come before you, sharing the painful stories of people in Gaza and our hopes for a peaceful resolution. And yet, we met with silence. How can we claim to uphold the principles of democracy when the voices of people are ignored? Today, I find myself at loss for words. I stand here not to speak about children being killed, women being raped, or people starving to death, but to listen. I want to hear from every one of you. Why have resolutions not been passed? Why have action not been taken? Is it your political career that makes you turn a blind eye to genocide? Imagine if this were happening to you and your children. I don't even remember how many times you were on your phone ignoring us while we were speaking. I cannot stand here anymore and ask you to take action because you're just chess pieces being played. How much were you paid to be on the wrong side? Enough with these useless council members. You're just a waste of space.
Speaker 28.
Leslie Kramer. This is probably unconventional, but I have nothing left to say that hasn't already been said, so instead I'm going to sing it. Initially, I didn't want to sing, but some of my lovely friends in the crowd told me that music can be impactful too. So, hallowed ground has been hollowed. Bombs and blood is all we see. But fallowed land we farmers follow to plant the seeds of an olive tree. Destroy their hearts, destroy their homes, but you'll never take our hope as the winds of freedom blow. So from the river to the sea, I will plant an olive tree. And one day I pray I'll watch it grow. One day Palestine will be free. So when I plant my olive tree, freedom like a river will flow. We will free Palestine with or without you, but we'd really, really prefer if it was with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Speaker 29. Okay, been asked to, just before the next speaker begins, I need to alert the audience and our TV audience that this speaker's presentation includes images that are graphic in nature and that viewers may find disturbing. If you could give your name, please.
My name is Ezra El Sayed. So I had actually prepared this presentation for you guys all, but I decided to change it up today because I wanted to share a story with you all. So a lot of my family's in the northern part of Gaza. They were staying around Al-Shifa Hospital. And when Israel came and sieged the hospital, they had left the area. After 2 weeks, when the Israeli Defense Force pulled out of the hospital, they went back to the building that they were staying at, just a small little apartment, and the whole building is gone. So the whole building was gone. And locals in the area had shared stories with them that the day after they left, the Israeli military had came in and shot all the men right in front of their families. And the little food that my family had saved is all gone. Their clothes is all burned. Their pillows or blankets are all gone as well. And my cousin had said, every step he took, whether he took a step to the left or to the step to the right, dead bodies everywhere. He was stepping over dead bodies, people that he knew. They have nowhere to go. They have no clothes. They have children, the age of my children. How many more Palestinians need to be killed for Raleigh to pass a ceasefire resolution? I will skip to my last slide, though. And hopefully I don't have to present this next time.
This is what's happening in Gaza today, right now. Over 15,000 children are killed. We need a ceasefire.
Thank you. Speaker 30, Chris Crew.
Preservation provides context to understand our presence and creates a reference library for our use as we plan for the future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for considering preservation in your actions on April 2nd when you put aside a hasty decision on zoning request Z7222. Once again, a developer has come forward who purchased an encumbered property seeking remission of a financial quandary of his own making. 423 South Blunt Street is a vacant lot in the Prince Hall Historic Overlay District, which was purchased 2 years ago, already encumbered by DX3 zoning and the restrictions associated with properties in historic districts. The developer exhausted all appeals with a duly constituted RHDC and seeking approval for a 12-story modernist revival building overshadowing the eponymous Prince Hall Masonic Lodge. Creation of these HODs is a zoning act involved in input from a wide range of property owners and stakeholders. Its purpose is to recognize and protect the historic fabric of this old city. Once again, we have development interests seeking to profit from the piecemeal dissolution of the districts with limited public input to the detriment of historic resources and cultural identity. As this case comes before you again in May, I urge you to consider the importance of Raleigh's first historic district designed to protect the remains of our once thriving African-American downtown business and residential district, and take the advice of the Planning Commission and deny this variance. Maintaining current zoning with its height and historic design conditions will help ensure appropriate development that honors the culture and heritage within the historic district. There's plenty of property available for a wide range of development activities outside of our historic districts and without recourse to changes in our carefully crafted UDO. Yours is the obligation and responsibility to speak up for Raleigh's rank and file and to protect our cherished resources. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. The next 5 speakers, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
James Bledsoe. Current elected members of Raleigh City Council, good evening. Since 2017, I've been campaigning for better first responder pay after seeing crime rise in our fire department holding signs that had said, "Would you do this job for $12 an hour?" In 2019, before I was slated to go to Syria, Raleigh saw a surge of crime again. Former Councilwoman Kay Crowder said to first responders in the audience, just asking for a small raise, if they don't like the pay here, they can go somewhere else. This time I was sure that Raleigh would listen, so I ran again. I saw Corey Branch and Jonathan Melton being briefed by the RPPA about the poor pay and how population was growing in the city, but we were still losing officers. Here we are in 2024 with 10 murders, a crime wave that could have been easily prevented, and the RFD and RPD being short 200 officers combined. Mayor Baldwin, Jonathan Melton, Corey Branch, crime has not gone down since you've taken office together, and I'm certainly less safe now because of it. My home was broken into last November and my house ransacked. Raleigh has the worst paid first responders in the state, and with more than 97% unable to live in the city they protect, with a pay study that won't be done for another year or two. Mayor Baldwin, you have sat there preaching that Raleigh is keeping officers because of a new training center and that we are competitive with salaries. That was a lie. The only competition this city is having is for last place. All these people are asking for is for a 15% raise, which will make us competitive. Where will we get this money to cover their raise without raising taxes or fees, you all ask? We have a city manager that makes more than Governor Roy Cooper at over $358,000 a year. And that's after receiving 2 raises in 2 years that are over $35,000 each. We also have a substantial amount of unallocated funds and a parasitic DEI department that is sucking money from the city. With a pay cut of 50% to the city manager, the removal of DEI department, and putting that $1 million in unallocated funds towards our first responders, we can finally start paying our bravest and finest to stay here instead of training them to leave for another city with better pay. We must keep the officers we train, or else we are just hemorrhaging taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. Your time is up. Next, we have Speaker 32, 33, 34, 35, if you could make your way up. Speaker 32 here. 33. 34. 35.
My name is Asma Al-Jundi. In 2022 alone, North Carolina imported $303 million worth of Israeli goods, with the largest import being electric machinery. The state exported $146.8 million worth of goods to Israel, mainly pharma, organic chemicals, and nuclear reactors. North Carolina ranks number 19th in the country in exports to Israel. So the city of Raleigh does conduct business with Israel. Ceasefire.
Okay, speakers 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, if you will come forward.
I'm Marina Issa, a Palestinian Christian here in Raleigh. They killed 7 white people. Do you care now? Because you didn't care enough to vote in favor of a ceasefire after 41,000 Palestinians were murdered. And these are the only ones that were reported. You should care about human life regardless of race, and the fact that we have to explain that to people in power is absurd. Gaza has definitely showed us who has a soul and who has sold theirs. And as city council members, you've said you want to protect all your constituents. So do it. Don't exclude us Palestinians. I heard someone say, what's the difference between a Palestinian life here and a Palestinian life there? If you're okay with me being murdered there, don't say that you care about my life here. Those words might as well have come out of your mouths the way you've been swimming in ignorance the past 6 months. Israel violated every international law ever, so why continue to turn a blind eye to this? Because you aren't in charge of the government? But wait, you do play a part because you did with South Africa. You all say you want peace, but what is peace to you? Is it the absence of violence, or is it submitting to oppression? For peace to exist, there needs to be complete Palestinian liberation from the river to the sea. The overall power asymmetry between Israel and Palestine still isn't being addressed. So address it. Anyways, I'm wondering if you care now that Israel has killed 7 white people. Call for a ceasefire now.
37.
Well, 37. I'm not surprised that this council could not vote to pass a ceasefire resolution. I remember back in 2020, the council under the same leadership refused to pass a strong resolution statement against Wakestone Corporation that's attempting to exploit, to this day, the Oddfellows track next to the Umstead State Park. I'm here to remind you that just because you shut your eyes and ears away, that doesn't make the problem go away. Right now, we found that the proposed quarry violates state park border by 120 feet. And, you know, just like how the Palestinians and the people in solidarity are constantly coming in to call for a ceasefire, the more you ignore the issues, the louder everyone's going to get. So in addition to the Palestinian issue, just be ready for, in the coming days, you're going to be hearing a lot more about RDU quarry issue again, because you ignored that. And I'm sure you've been receiving emails about that over the past couple of weeks too. I think I know why you don't want to support a ceasefire, because if you do that, we're going to come in month after month calling for you to address issues that you've been ignoring locally, from cutting trees to tear down of public housing and library like Richard B. Harrison in the black community that's at risk being torn down. And just like how the Israeli government is destroying Palestine to make way for their profit, I guess. So all I'm asking is for you to be responsible leaders, vote for a ceasefire, and follow through and start voting for equitable sustainability and protection of black and brown community and working class. Help give the Raleigh City worker a raise to $38 per hour like UE 150 demands. Remember, each passing day that you do nothing, the people will come in louder than the last with every issue that we've been calling for since day one. Thank you.
Okay, I've been told Speaker 33 is here. If you could come forward.
I didn't have time to do my presentation. Put them in the basket there.
They go in the basket there.
These are for the four who voted against ceasefire. Big ones for you. Amanda Gazov. When my son was born, I was met with support, and when my son died, I was met with the support from strangers and churches all over here. But after 10 years of inability to conceive and over 3 rounds of IVF and in vitro that they paid for, Rania Abu Anza's twin babies, Wasim and Naeem, were brought into the world on October 13th and met with genocide. Knew nothing but the genocide for almost 5 months while they lived. And what was Rania met with when her twins died? Not support, but additionally a dead husband, a dead sister, a dead nephew, and a dead pregnant cousin, and 8 more dead family members from one Israeli airstrike, March 3rd, of course funded by the US. Had a permanent ceasefire been called months ago, these twins and families like this would be here today. Likewise, if our country was putting tax dollars into the American healthcare system all of these years that we've been funding Israel, my son would likely still be here as well, along with many other people in North Carolina who have been failed by the medical system. Why do we not have money going into the medical system? Because we're sending it over to Israel. Why do we not have money to pay our police enough for what you guys think they deserve? Because we're sending it to Israel. It's all connected to what we are sending to Israel. Raleigh is doing business with Israel. My son would likely be here today if we had not been sending money to Israel and had better competence, doctors, and insurance. So today, Jonathan, Corey, Stormy, and Mayor Baldwin, until you vote for a ceasefire, the blood of not just the Palestinians is on your hands, but the blood of all of those Americans dead, the North Carolinians that are dying due to our healthcare system shortcomings and failures, their blood is on your hands, as well as the Palestinians. Not just the Palestinians, not just the Muslims you don't care about, but North Carolinians' blood is on your hands until you demand a ceasefire now. The blood's on your hands.
Okay, Speaker 38, 39, and 40. Speaker 38. Is Speaker 38 here? Speaker 39.
Sorry, Stephen McGinnis. Good evening, honorable members of City Council. My name is Stephen McGinnis, and I represent as the Vice President of the Rowing Club at NC State. And in continuing trends of policies, there's been negatively affecting us earlier starting this year at rowing at Lake Wheeler. It took a drastic trend for the worse. In my role as Student Senate President at NC State, I've worked in ways to improve many different areas of parks and recreation, but I've failed in this area of my own rowing at Lake Wheeler Park. And so it was an honor to address the esteemed council on behalf of our dedicated rowers and enthusiasts. Lake Wheeler Park is not just a body of water, it's a vibrant hub of activity where individuals from all walks of life together to pursue the passion for rowing. Our rowing community is characterized by the inclusivity, camaraderie, and commitment to promoting health and wellness throughout the sport. However, despite our collective efforts to contribute positively to the community, we face challenges that threaten to undermine the opportunities available to us. Specifically, certain rowing clubs such as Unity Rowing Club, a veterans rowing club that has not been able to utilize veteran grants, or VA grants, to bring athletes with disabilities to be able to have the opportunity to experience Lake Wheeler. And also our other clubs, including the Raleigh Dragon Boat Club, the Rowing Club at NC State, Triangle Rowing Club, and as well as the Raleigh Masters Club. These limitations have been able to hamper our ability to fully engage with the sports we love and to expand our programs to serve more members of our community. Additionally, the current costs of structures for rowing racks at Lake Wheeler Park present a significant barrier to entry for many of our clubs to join, where we, as college students, currently have to pay $285 just to be able to go up to a very expensive sport. To address these challenges and ensure the continued success of the rowing community at Lake Wheeler Park, I urge the council to consider the establishment of an advisory board for this Lake Wheeler, specifically the boat storage owners. Such a board would provide a form of open dialogue and collaboration between them. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask the city manager to follow up with you. Okay. Thank you. Speaker 40.
Hi, my name is Sarah Quadri, Raleigh resident. As many of you know, my daughter is in Girl Scout, and these are some bracelets that my girls have made as fundraisers to create funding to send to not only Palestine, but also Yemen, because we have girls that are affected there as well. This is not just a one country issue. This is affecting Lebanon and other neighboring countries as well, affecting many families within Raleigh. And sadly, there are limited aid agencies that you can send through. And one of the main agencies was unnecessarily targeted without any evidence. And we've seen this in many, many cases where there's no evidence with UNRWA and other situations. And it took 7 aid workers for the world to condemn. What will it take for the city council to condemn? Like, how many more lives, how many more things do we have to keep bringing up? And there's so much to say, so many others have said. I just wanted to make a comment to another comment I heard about we need to close DEI. I've been seeing this a lot. Like, I do not understand where that thought process of dismantling that goes. And the terminology that's being used, it's basically racist in that. The fact that you want to get away from the diversity, and we are seeing so many things going backwards to make America great again. What was great back then? If you look at who were marginalized and who is underrepresented. We need livable wages. We stand with our union workers. And if we stop funding and sending money for wars in Israel, we can fund our programs here, help our homeless, help food insecurity. Let's keep our hard-earned tax dollars in Raleigh. Ceasefire now.
Okay. Next, we have Speaker 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. If you will come up, please. Speaker 41.
Can I have the mic for her? She's coming.
My name is Lemis Khamis. I am 10 years old, but even I understand a genocide. 40,000 Palestinians have been killed. 15,000 of these people were kids. 100,000 have been injured. People have just gotten out from under the rubble of the house Israel just bombed, now living on rubble, starving without a home. So many of these people were kids. Every 10 minutes, a child in Gaza dies. These are not conditions any human should live in, no matter who they are. This matter has gotten so out of hands. This has been going on since 1948. This isn't a war or an occupation anymore. It's a genocide. Committing a genocide is a war crime, but no one seems like they are trying to stop this. Our President Joe Biden claims to be trying to get aid into Gaza, but still funds and gives weapons to Israel. He does this with the tax dollars Americans pay. He has gave so much money to Israel. At this point, he could have ended homelessness. He says everyone deserves health care, but what about the people in Gaza? He could be using the money he gives to Israel every day for much better causes rather than funding Israel to kill Palestinians. People in Gaza are getting amputations without anesthesia, mothers giving birth with no medications. These are the things that Palestinians wish they could change. Kids want to go back to school, but they can't since all the schools have already been bombed. They just want to go back to their normal lives, be able to eat and live in a home. Stand against genocide and pass a ceasefire resolution, and stand with the city workers and their rights. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
42. Speaker 42. Okay. No, I have Barry Erickson. Speaker 43.
Hi, can I talk? Sergey Castle. How about we can concentrate on the local problems, especially this message for city attorney. I feel in a couple months look like we organize Palestinian club. You know what it is? We all American citizens here. You know they barking wrong tree. You know, like they come over and if for example, you can have a meeting with Palestinian issue 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, not but all over again. Now we can worry about you know, like police officers, about infrastructure, about building, you know, and honestly, I just want to talk about Bill 488, which is like a legislator passing right now. It's about like raising like from $30,000 without license to $40,000, which is give scammers, all kind of criminals, knock on the people housing and do construction without any knowledge and just scamming people. Also, I just want to talk about alternative materials. You know, like also I just want to talk about, you know, like how come I can call you half a year, try to set up meeting with transportation department, you know, like and take some issues, and I want to set up meeting, you know, get some resolution, and just, you know, I just spend more than half a month, I mean 6 months, and just right now I get a meeting. Also, I just want to talk about police officer. You know, like police officers supposed to know Constitution. Police officers supposed to protecting us from a local government. How come you go to neighborhood $500,000 up to multi-million-dollar and bring, you know, unprofessional meeting with a licensed builder, which is permits open and everything, police officer, you know, and how come city inspector have immunity? You know, and have a high salary more than police officer. Just how about if you exchange, if inspector, oh my gosh, only 2 minutes is not.
Time's up, thank you. 44, 45, 46, 47, 48.
Eugene Myrick. Y'all went on a field trip to visit a neighborhood that no one asked to be rezoned around New Bern and St. Augustine's University. You're disenfranchising residents in the community by having blanketed BRT hearings. Meanwhile, you should have visited the area downtown that some of you approved $3.2 million contract for private police. Despite the myth that all black people seem to have a disdain for police, I come from a family of law enforcement. My brother and his wife are retired New York City law enforcement, Department of Corrections, and NYPD, respectively. My nephew just graduated from the academy in the Charlotte area. It would have been better if you all would have took $1 million to train and hire at least 10 new police officers, $1 million for wraparound services that don't require law enforcement, but more in line with crisis intervention, and $1 million to properly relocate some of the unhoused and mentally ill folks from downtown who may be creating some of the problems. But your time is spent on BRT and rezoning cases. A BRT that would become a glorified shuttle service for the well-off, taking them from the Civic Center to Dix Park and what the mayor hopes will be a baseball stadium at the Cargill site. The city recently got your Bloomberg Bucks and the Bloomberg Spies. The mayor recently tweeted MLB Raleigh with a story from Bloomberg Business Week. And if you actually look into the story, you'll see that Mike Bloomberg is part owner of the Baltimore Orioles. So it's all in the plan. Raleigh has become a monopoly game for the rich and powerful. The city isn't being whitewashed, it's being bleached for the super wealthy. To add insult to injury, I recently read that the mayor is now in charge of a nonprofit that's supposed to support affordable housing. With the city viewing $41,000 as a livable wage, 30% AMI makes housing unaffordable. As citizens, we need you all to focus more on the people who are here now and put a moratorium on these rezoning and focus on the people. Thank you.
45, 46, 45. Okay, Whitney, it is now your turn.
I just want to say before I get into the statement, I appreciate the job our law enforcement officers do. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Raleigh enjoys wonderful greenways and parks, events, a booming economy, restaurants, and wonderful people. But I believe we sorely lack in one area, law enforcement. I believe the city's number one responsibility is to protect its citizens. In fact, our police force headcount has clearly not been keeping up with population growth. In fact, we have barely attempted to employ the budgeted number of police officers in Raleigh, a number which has not changed for some time in a rapidly growing population. I applaud the fact that the police chief has used a unique program of staffing with volunteers, but with a rising homeless population, growing economy, and increases in shootings and crimes, Raleigh needs to increase the budgeted number of police officers to at least 1,000. In addition to competitive wages, we need to pay a competitive wage. In other words, Raleigh needs to pay the top, not the lowest, wage in the local area so that we keep our top experienced officers. I don't think I have the time to read the rest of this, but I do want to say one thing. I find it offensive that any time when someone on the city council or the mayor is threatened, I don't think that folks who come in and make harmful threats should be allowed to stay in here, or people who shout down meetings. It's no place for that here, and I hope that we do something about that.
47. Speaker 47.
Angie. First, I want to start off by saying in 2022 alone, North Carolina imported $303 million worth of Israeli goods, with the largest import being electrical machinery. The state exported $146.8 million worth of goods to Israel, mainly pharmaceuticals, organic chemicals, and nuclear reactors. North Carolina ranks 19th in the country in exports to Israel. Rania Al-Masri wanted to be here today, but she has a bad cold, and because Raleigh City Council does not allow Zoom calls, unlike Durham City Council, Rania has asked that someone read her words in her place. We had asked this council to vote yes on a ceasefire in Gaza because we recognize the humanity of all the intersections of issues. No community is disposable anywhere. While our taxpayer dollars are being sent to kill, maim, and starve the Palestinian community in Gaza, we have communities here in Raleigh that are in dire need of these precious funds, and also in dire need of being recognized as equal. No one is disposable, not in Palestine, not in Raleigh. Therefore, we stand next to the Raleigh city workers in their demands. Let's recognize some conclusions from recent studies, both from Raleigh and from nearby Durham. According to the recently released Durham Community Health Assessment Report, to live in a standard apartment and pay less than 30% of monthly income of housing, the household income must be at least $4,480 per month, or $53,660 a year. In other words, the minimum wage needs to be $28 per hour. And Raleigh is more expensive than Durham, yet our minimum wage in the state remains at $7.25. This is enforced poverty. 1 of every 4 community members in Wake County are struggling to find a place to live that they can afford, and that problem has only contributed to increase.
Thank you. Now, Speaker 48.
Hi, I'm Speaker 23, J. Christina Owen.
Let me, if you would, number 28. Is that what you said?
23, I'm sorry.
23. Okay. Please wait a moment. I wanted to see if Speaker 48 was here.
Of course.
Okay. All right. If you'll come up, 23.
J. Christina Owen. My thanks to those who voted for a ceasefire. To the rest, you've heard hundreds of voices begging you to act. 88,000 people showed up to vote no preference. That number should terrify you. We, the people, want peace, and we will show up and vote. While my friends and I proudly hold our hands high in the air with peace signs, we are overwhelmingly met with cheers and thumbs up. But let me introduce you to the type of people you are supporting by your no votes. We've had things yelled at us like burn, enjoy our bombs, go back to Pakistan, towelheads, terrorists. Is this the type of people that you want to be associated with? 2 million innocent civilians are no longer on the verge of starvation, but are now literally starving to death. 4 children, each and every hour dead. The purposeful starvation of over 2 million people can be nothing other than genocide. To those who voted no, get on the right side of history. Your conscience will catch up with you. And if it doesn't, your children and your grandchildren will look back at this time and be appalled that you looked away. Purely for perspective and not to take away from the atrocities in Ukraine, but over 570 children are dead in 2 years. The blood of 14,000 dead children in 6 months will forever be your legacy if you don't act. Call for and pass a ceasefire resolution now. Free Palestine.
Okay, Speaker 49 and 50. They can wait.
My name is Beth Ballard, and I am a North Carolina native, born and raised here. And before I get into what I originally planned on saying, I would like to address the gentleman who was speaking earlier about all the time that's been given to Palestine and how it's taking away from local issues. I would like to just say to you that with all the billions of dollars being sent to Israel to bomb and commit genocide against innocent people, that funding that the fight that we are fighting now is for our people at home, for that funding to be spent on increasing the pay for our police officers, for increasing funding and infrastructure, for increasing support for our homeless people. That is an ever-increasing number here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the list goes on. With all the billions that are being spent to commit genocide, we could do a lot more for our own people here at home, for our veterans, one of which was my own father and my grandfather. So I just wanted to address that, and now on to what I had originally planned to say. It is with a heart laden with grief, but also with an unwavering steadfastness that I am present tonight once again to serve as a voice for our Palestinian sisters and brothers in humanity. Humanity, we're all humans. Humanity. My sincere intent for attending this meeting is to urge you, the Raleigh City Council, to do the same. Use your voice. Raise your voice. To raise your voice, to call,
Thank you.
to amplify.
Your time is up, ma'am. Thank you. We have Speaker 50. If 51, 52, and 53 could make their way up. Thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor, Shane, Collins, North Hills. I'm here to talk about affordable housing and the firefighter separation allowance, which you have heard about and maybe are looking at in the upcoming budget. But first, I'll speak a little of the firefighter song. That old alarm was sounding and he had to go, but all he could think about was his family at home. Let's talk firefighter separation allowance, which would allow firefighters to retire early and return to their family safely. Firefighters sign on to this job to help the ones in need. He's well aware of the costs and dangers, but that doesn't matter. The separation allowance would ensure that over 50-year-old firefighters are not the ones doing the heavy lifting, protecting citizens and businesses. The firefighters help the ones in need, and they see the whole job through, protecting families and businesses, both big and small. So let's be a true capital and lead by example. Separation allowance would help retain talent and enhance recruitment. Let's research separation allowance for this year's budget. Thank you.
Sorry, I can't see y'all and see the paper at the same time. I'm of that age. Joshua Bradley, 1324 Spring Lawn Court. Mayor and councilors, a couple of things. I've heard that there are plans to tear down the empty housing at Dix Park. These houses would be worth updating to be used for people that are unhoused. As many of these units have wheelchair ramps, it would be ideal for our siblings who are homeless and confined to wheelchairs. There should be space in the old hospital to set up services for folks that need them. I've been told that they would cost too much to be updated, but they would also cost to tear down. And surely saving them for people who need them is more important than things like giving money to private companies for pickleball courts, which the city has done. If the city has money to line the pockets of private industry, surely it must have the funds to provide housing for those who need it most. The city needs to prioritize housing for those in need rather than give sweetheart deals to developers for a very small provision of housing at like 85% of the AMI. The city should build housing on the land that it owns. We could hire an architect, hire a building department. Public-private partnerships generally only help the private side who still expect a profit. In order to build a great city, we must start on a strong foundation and prioritize those at the bottom. I would recommend that the city meet the demands of UE 150. They are not unreasonable, and without city workers, there can be no working city. A strong city will pay employees enough to live in the city. A strong city will keep wages ahead of inflation. A strong city would provide sufficient facilities for public workers. Are we a strong city or are we an exploitive city? Of course, asking a city council in which half its members are okay with the 40,000 dead and wounded children in Gaza to care about anyone may be a stretch. I'm not sure how the four of y'all sleep at night, but I'd say, like was said before, there's a time in the future that y'all will be written as the bad guys. Thank you.
Speaker 52.
Good evening, Scott Lassiter here, and I've had the pleasure of interacting with Raleigh's finest in a couple of different capacities. First is in my role as a vice chair of the Wake Soil and Water District, but also as the assistant principal of a county alternative middle school, serving lots of Raleigh students. And in that school, I see these officers come not to arrest, but to mentor, to work, to do the important community police work. I even see our chief come and invest in these young folks. Some of you know that I previously served on a council in Apex, and I understand the difficulty of balancing the various factions that are sometimes at odds, and understand the difficult budget decisions that you have to make. And I would have never considered jumping into this sandbox for your officers had the very same people that I often turn to for help had not turned to me to help amplify their voices. It's tremendously important to me, but it's important to our community. And that just hits differently when those that we rely on to protect us ask us to come forward to advocate for them. So back to that balance I speak about, frankly, it's out of whack. You've seen the numbers. You understand that, and you've got an opportunity to do something about that. Not only are officers suffering, but it causes our constituents to suffer, and as a result, the entire city. Vacancies extend response times. There's less chance to do the hard community building police work when officers are stretched thin. So the turnover, it puts less experienced as officers in the field. We can't just sit around and cry for improved professional performance by our police and then not pay them like the professionals that we are. So as the saying goes, money talks And without it, these officers, I'm afraid, are going to continue to walk.
Okay, Speaker 53, 54, 55, if you could come up.
My name is Donna Bailey, and before I start my comments, I want to make a comment to Mary Ann. It's very disrespectful to just be calling people by the numbers and not their names. That doesn't surprise me, and I believe you have difficulty. I don't know if it's incompetence or malice that you have such hard times pronouncing other people's names. Now, I want to address the rest of you. I want to just reinforce Mary Ann is not running again. I dare her to run. She's not running because she knows she will lose. So the rest of you, you are all running. I want you to run on what you are telling people you're going to do. You can do it right now. I want you to look at missing middle and see what kind of accommodations. Patrick Young, the planning director, said you have 3 choices. You don't have, this isn't anything about the lawsuit. You have 3 choices. You can either repeal missing middle, keep it as it is, or make adjustments. I think there is a consensus to make meaningful adjustments. So I want you to all know you have the power. You only need 5 votes to change things. With Jonathan, you have 7. Ignore her. We are done with her toxicity and her hate for the public. We can see here, everyone sees her on her phone. She does not want to be here listening to public comments. The only people she listens to are the likes of John Kane and other people who have put money in her pocket. And the fact that she's now on this board addressing homelessness, she's responsible for destroying more affordable housing in this city than everyone combined. So I want to empower you to do the right thing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to ask again, and last time, please, let's be respectful. Thank you. Benny. I'm going to ask everybody, the police, to shut this down if this continues. 54.
Shalom, it's Benny. A lot going on here today. Rick Armstrong, you still here? Yeah, that whole gaggle, very trafe, they just left. But, he's a great representative of the police. I don't know if you all know, but in 2011, the Raleigh Police Department fired him for soliciting sex while serving tickets. So, every year, this council increases the Raleigh Police Department's budget by millions of dollars. Divest from police and invest in real safety, like education, healthcare, low-income housing, unarmed mental health task forces. Moving on. City manager said that the city of Raleigh doesn't do business with Israel. Well, it's pretty vague. Can the city please publish its investment portfolio in a very clear way? You have all of our email addresses. How about you just send us a summary document, right? We can get into the companies profiting from genocide and colonialism, right? I see Caterpillar machines all over Raleigh, gentrifying this city. That company also contributes to the colonization of Palestine. So let us know what you're invested in. Thank you. Anyways, I'm actually here in solidarity with UE 150 today, the City Workers Union. They are bringing you a Workers' Bill of Rights, and I'm going to read their demands. $38 an hour minimum wage. 10% cost of living adjustments, night differential pay for work after 3 p.m., adequate shower facilities in public utilities, SWS, and transportation. Request for corporations to pay in lieu of taxes, because corporations don't pay income tax in North Carolina, in case if you didn't know. It's pretty crazy. First-time homeowner down payment assistance program, hazard duty pay, and meals provided when working prolonged shifts, during weather, infrastructure failure, and other emergencies. Funding alternatives to the police, such as a therapeutic emergency response team. Thank you.
Speaker 55. '56. Is Speaker 56 here?
Right here.
Okay.
I'm Speaker 56, Michael Dublin. I saw the police chief speaking earlier, and I didn't see her name on the list. And, you know, when those kind of things are done, it's by the privileged class. So they can change the rules and then wonder why people get upset. Because it's not equitable or equal. And so I grew up in Raleigh and faced a lot of obstacles growing up African American in Southeast Raleigh. I was told that by the school I went to that if you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't have to worry about the police. And so I was confused when I got stopped by the police just by walking home from football practice or, you know, had been in a chokehold by the police. So, you know, I knew about redlining. There were certain places in Raleigh I couldn't live. My parents could not go to Broughton High School. They had to go to Ligon. And this is the city we grew up in. And the history is laid out. So I know imperialism when I see it. And also growing up being a knowledgeable person about what Dr. King stood for and what he said and how he spoke against the war in Vietnam. And my uncle who fought in Vietnam told me how, you know, the black soldiers felt about killing the yellow man for the white man. So I knew all that. So I recognize imperialists. So I definitely understand this law and order mentality. When I hear it, that means keep the natives in line. And sometimes the natives are blacks, and sometimes they're Native Americans, and sometimes they're Palestinians. But it's all the same, so we must continue this fight. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Speaker 57. Is Speaker 57 here? 58? Okay, and Speaker, I've been told on my phone that Speaker number 15 came. Is that you, sir?
I'm 24, I believe.
24, 16, and 15. Okay, so you're Speaker 24.
Okay. All right.
Sir, if you could
Yes.
begin. Thank you. And
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm going to leave you all an article to read. It's from Bet Salem, the Israeli Information Center for Human Rights in the Occupied Territories. It's from November 2017. This did not begin on October 7th, FYI. I would like to talk about the restrictions on movement in the West Bank where there is no Hamas. I repeat, no Hamas. The IOF, Israeli occupation forces, stepped up in imposing more and more discriminate and suffocating travel restrictions in the West Bank, with no end in sight. A simple trip that used to take a half an hour now takes hours. Palestinians going to work, going to school, to the hospital, and just making it difficult to keep families together. Take, for example, Kirbet Sarah, near the illegal settlement of Shavut Rachel. The residents have been forbidden to enter their own village with vehicles since the start of this genocide. They have to park 2 kilometers away and walk to the village. And get this, when leaving the village, they have to request permission to leave from the Israeli occupation forces. And by the way, Kirbet Sarah dates back over 2,000 years, while Shavut Rachel was founded in 1991, i.e. colonialism. This is what oppression and apartheid looks like, not security. While the world looks on and ignores Gaza, the Israeli occupation forces are working on making the West Bank into the next Gaza and commit genocide there. This is the Zionist ideology, and the world's silence is complicity. However, there is one underlying truth that gives me solace: our solidarity and resolve from people of all walks of life and religions. We will not give up. 75 plus years later, and Palestine has not disappeared into the history books.
Sir, your time is up. And
Okay.
could I have your name for the record, please?
Mohammed Amra.
Okay,
And by the
thank
way,
you.
free Palestine. Thank you. Here you go.
15.
15, Nabil Zanta. So 6 months, and this is what complicity looks like, with the exception of the 4. Thank you. 6 months. Hello? Hello?
I'm just trying to make sure everybody
Well, you
gets
can
to
let me
speak.
know. I don't mind, but you can let me know. I'm going to read you some of the writings on the wall of the Shifa hospital. This is the hospital that was besieged twice because of Hamas being there when they were not even there to begin with. This is what it says. O patience, people of Shifa, for your relief is near. The third siege for the 11th day. Doctors of Shifa Hospital, it was signed by. The next one, Mother, I miss you. I hope to God I will get to see you soon. I swear I love you, Mom. Next one, we are accepting of what God has written for us, and we will not despair, waiting for the coming relief, God willing. The story has become well known. Its titles is Tears and Pain, inside the heart of a besieged person looking for medication and freedom, God willing. Next one, honestly, Mom, I'm really tired, but thank God for everything. We will only leave with God's permission. Next one, if the pain inside me fell and landed on a mountain, it would collapse it. Oh God, your mercy in worship in you. The final one, Mother, I miss you. Wipe away the tears that fall onto my cheek.
Okay, I'm here. I just have a letter from all of the Muslim leaders of the mosque of the Triangle. So we all asking for ceasefire, and tomorrow is Muslim holiday. So all the mosques they're gonna talk about Gaza and Palestine, and they're gonna ask for ceasefire and have letter for all of you here.
Put in the
Free
basket.
Palestine. Oh.
Put in the basket, please. What's your number?
Lama, number 16. Lama.
I had you already speaking.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lama Wafa. I'm a Palestinian American and a proud member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL. I'm here to address to you as a concerned member of this community. Today, I come before you with a heavy heart. We are in the 6th month of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. I cannot express how disappointed I am with your decision to ignore the will of our community and not pass even the most basic ceasefire resolution. Tens of thousands have been killed and more than 77,000 people are injured as a result of Israel's genocidal war. Israel is continuing to deny aid to Palestinians as nearly the entire population of Gaza. Roughly 2.3 million people are facing a famine. Children are starting to die of starvation, and under the conditions of a famine, pregnant women are at high risk of miscarriage. Israel is acting in complete defiance of the International Court of Justice, which has ordered that Israel take immediate and effective measures to enable the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian aid. Israel is enacting collective punishment on the entire population of Gaza, one of the hallmarks of genocide. As Israel commits genocide, every moment of silence and complicity is another drop of blood on our hands. It is a sin for us to sit around and do nothing. It is our duty as citizens of a country of plenty, where we have a right to freedom of speech, and we have so many resources to use whatever powers we have to call for a ceasefire and to stop funding Israel's atrocities with our tax dollars. I ask you as representatives of our community to reconsider your decision. Vote for a ceasefire resolution, raise your voice, and use your position to take a stand against these atrocities or go down.
I am now adjourning the meeting. Thank you.